Good morning. Today I'll be cooking something absolutely delicious and it will involve sheep. Actually, it's not sheep, it's going to be mutton. And it's a Sicilian dish, but also widely used in Sardinia or southern Italy, but mostly in the islands. And it's very, very rich, but we'll be doing it in a very healthy way, and it will involve a lot of vegetables. These are mutton chops, and they've been donated to me by my sister-in-law. If you look, they're about 1 inch thick. Now, I understand that a sheep becomes a mutton once it's over 2 years old. So this was a ram, and he was 3 years old. He had a wonderful life. My sister-in-law's neighbor grows them. Is it the right word?
Rears them.
Rears them. And great, you know what I mean. And he actually fathered 11 lambs, and he had 3 ladies. So there you go. It's a bit of
He
a
had
Don
quite a
Giovanni.
good life, didn't he?
A bit of a Don Giovanni, indeed. So I've got 4 chops here. There's a little bit of fat in here, and I don't want all of this. So I'm going to show you what I do next. So let me show you. See, there is quite a lot here. So I'll go in with a knife. I'll keep some, but not all of these. I want to look after my cholesterol after all.
Yeah, me too.
So I'm going to remove a fair amount, including this little piece here. So you can see that there is still a little bit of fat, but also quite a good amount of meat. And I'll do the same with the other ones. This recipe, you do not have to use mutton. You can also use lamb or sheep, but also you can use any meat you like. It's ideal for mature meat, so you can use also with pork or with beef, but beef most probably better. Anything that you could buy cheaper from the supermarket or from your butcher, which require a long time to cook. This one is quite tough, so it's going to cook for a little while. And that is number 4, all done. So quite a little bit of fat, which will go in the bin. I'll move on to the vegetables next. I will be using this casserole. I've never used it before, actually. I bought it about a year ago when I launched the channel, but this is my first opportunity to use it. This is made of aluminium, I think, but you can use cast iron if you like, or a normal one. But the benefit of these ones is that they can also go in the oven as well as the hob, so ideal. But today it will go on the hob. I'll talk you through the ingredients as I put them in. However, reference quantities, I'll list them in the description as always, but it is very subjective. You can put as much or as little as you like, but also the varieties of vegetables you use, entirely up to you. But clearly, I'll show you what I use today, which is very typical and traditional of this dish. I'll just remove the top layer from one leek, and I'm gonna slice this lengthways. And as I cut my vegetables, I make sure that they are not too thin, because they will be cooking for a long time. And I want to keep them as chunky as possible so that I can find them later. So I started with a sprig of rosemary at the bottom, and I'll go and position now some of my leek alongside the rosemary, on top of the rosemary, and I'll cover the entire base. The reason why the rosemary is at the very, very bottom is because it will be the very first herb when the heat is on, and it will release some lovely and delicious flavor. This is chard, which I've just pinched from Julie's vegetable patch, so I'm going to add as it is. I don't need to chop it, just a few leaves. Carrot, I will slice this into 4 pieces, and I will add it as well. This is celery. Remove the little strings, otherwise they'll be annoying and they will be in your teeth later. And just like with the carrot, really, just put it in wherever you can. And I'll go in and press it down with my hand. Courgette next. I'll just do a few slices first, maybe 5, and I will add them in as well.
Or 6.
Or 6. Onion. I'll chop this little onion into 4 pieces, and I'll just put it in wherever there is space.
This is one of those fabulous dishes you just chuck it all in.
Indeed, it is an all-in-one dish, very, very simple to make, and you can clearly use a different sequence if you like, but no pre-cooking required, all the uppers at once. I'm going to use potatoes next. These are from our garden. I left the skin on because it's very, very good for you, so I'll just slice them like I did with the courgette, and in they go. And press it down, always remember to press it down. Secret ingredient, the zest of half a lemon. I'm going to be using half, so there is a quarter in this particular layer, and I'll use the other half later. Rosemary and lemon, they marry incredibly well with lamb.
Or mutton.
Or mutton, like today. So back to our mutton. Now there is This one here hasn't got a bone, so I'll chop it in half. Likewise here, I'll do the same here. So I've got 6 pieces and I want to do 2 layers. So I'll position 3 nice pieces on this layer.
I think it's got bones in these two, have they?
Yeah. Nearly forgot, pepper. Never too late. I'm removing all of that white stuff because it's a bit bitter to taste and difficult to digest, and I'm slicing it. I'll keep the other half for later. And I will add it as well. Little sprinkle of salt goes on top, and a little pepper. And I will repeat the same process again, starting with the rosemary at the bottom, then the leek and all the vegetables and the lamb. So I'll see you in a minute. I nearly forgot a very, very important ingredient, tomatoes. These are cherry tomatoes, by the way, and they are frozen. Look, the reason why they're frozen is because we went on holiday and we had some food left in the fridge, so I just threw them in the freezer as they are, and they're ideal for cooking. Before I carry on, in between the 2 layers, I'll just put a layer of my tomatoes. I'll put them all in. Do not worry that it looks like there is a lot there. It will shrink by a lot once you start cooking. And as long as you always push it down, you will be fine. And I'm nearly there. So I will finish the top layer now with the remaining of my mutton. 1, 2, and 3. One last sprinkle of pepper and a little salt on top of my mutton. A little olive oil, not a lot because there's quite a bit of fat in the mutton, but it will add lovely flavour. And I'll finish the top layer with a few leaves of chard which I got left over, so entirely up to you what you use on the top, but that is what I've got, so that'll be nice. Before I put the lid on, one last push. So I'll go in with my hands and using my body weight, I'll push it down as much as I can.
That is a lot in there.
Julie has just asked me to put one last piece of rosemary as is left over. We'll put it on top.
Special request from me.
Special request.
Lovely.
Anyway, this is ready, and I've got here, let's have a look, approximately just under a litre is 800 milliliters of water, and I'll pour that inside, maybe on one of the sides here, so that I do not go on top of my olive oil, and I'll pour it all in. And if you look, this is the label where the water has stopped.
Yeah. One last push.
Well, sounds like I'm delivering a baby.
You will! Oh, blimey. If only it was that easy.
Place the lid on and make sure that it is as tight as it can be, and in my case actually it's pretty good
Yeah, it's good,
fit.
isn't it? I can't
It's
see
good.
anything hanging out.
But if yours was a little bit loose, you can put a little weight on top, or you put some aluminium foil in between the lid and your dish to make sure that the steam doesn't escape too quickly. So I'll place it on the hob and I'll turn it on maximum temperature first. I can hear that it's boiling already, but I'm leaving it still on a high temperature because although this is very, very hot, the top of the lid is still quite cold, and I want the dish to be hot all over before I turn it down. Literally 1 minute, and you see that it's boiling away, still on high temperature. So I'll turn this down now on number 3, medium low. And if you've got a gas hob, turn it on at the lowest setting. Gas tend to be considerably more powerful than Mandy's induction electric, so as low as you can, and I'll put the lid back on and I will leave it. It will require about 3 hours to cook, but it will be quite economical because it's on a low setting, and what will happen effectively, the meat will release its juices and it will trickle down, but being that it's at the top of each layer, the steam and the lovely flavor from all of the vegetables and the rosemary will rise, and that will combine to a wonderful dish. So I'll see you in about 3 hours. But occasionally, by the way, I will check it to make sure that water hasn't all gone, but it should be okay. I put quite a lot in there. But by all means, I'll tell you at the end how much water I've got left. We are nearly ready. It's been actually on for 3.5 hours. After 3 hours, when I lifted the lid, I noticed that there was still quite a lot of water. So what I decided was to put a wooden spoon here and left it open for another 30 minutes so that some of the water did evaporate. And it smells and looks absolutely wonderful. And the bubbly noise is very nice.
It's lovely, actually. Yeah. I've been in the lounge actually, and that's all I can hear bubbling away.
Yeah,
and
blub,
the
blub,
whole house
blub.
smells gorgeous.
So let's turn it off, and I'll move on my worktop. I will remove this rosemary as it's no longer needed. And Julie will be very pleased because we don't need to wait for this one.
Oh, hooray.
And I'll start by grabbing what I can really. Here is a piece of mutton chop. That's an odd thing to say, mutton chop instead of lamb chop. Yeah. Let's turn it the other way. I'll do both together, Julie and I. I'll go and dig in and find some varieties of vegetables, and I'll just scoop it and add it to my bowl. Here's another piece of lamb. Put it here. And a good scoop of water and vegetables. Nearly there, and just before we tuck in, I'll add a little parsley, as this will release some lovely flavour as it is uncooked. And as always, I'll finish with a little olive oil all over everything. Wonderful. I said this before, when you add olive oil on top of cooked food, it does release the most amazing and wonderful flavour, and always recommend it. But don't go mad. And if it does smell wonderful, it will taste wonderful. And look at the mutton, how tender it is. It's just coming apart already. I fancy a little potato on the way. See if I can grab it. Ooh, everywhere. Oh, that's really good, really flavorful, and long and slow, delicious. It's a lovely dish because it's cold, it's winter outside, and this is really warming.
It's dark, yeah, it's horrible.
And I cannot recommend it enough. So if you can cook it also with any other meat, like as I said before, like beef, yes, make sure that you find something that needs long and slow cooking, and that will be also perfect. Thank you for watching. Make it, and let me know if you do, and if you make any variations. I'll be interested to hear. Arrivederci, grazie, and as always, buon appetito. Ciao.